Hi there, Leslie with Moxxi Coffee, and today we are going to speak with Rebecca Kelly. I'll be completely honest, I don't know too much. She was nominated by one of our earlier fearless females, Melissa Harrison. So I know that you are a professor.
I'm a professor.
I know that you're a children's author.
Yes.
And I believe you're going back to school for, was it a PhD?
My doctorate.
Your doctorate?
Yeah. Yep.
So what do you teach?
So I'm a communications design professor, which nobody knows what that is. And I say it's graphic design with ego, really is what it is, or attitude. It's we use graphic design as part of what it is we do. So that's the closest thing to it, except there's a lot more. And we help companies define their brand voice and develop brand guidelines. And we also do a little entrepreneurial thinking. All of it using design thinking, which is what our children's books are about, are using design thinking to solve problems and help to normalize girls being in STEM fields.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, there's definitely not enough of that going around.
No, I think they said I thought it was fourth grade girls would drop out, but I believe it's even earlier than that. So we did a children's books to kind of normalize that. Because I was really good at math, and all of a sudden, I'm not in math anymore, and I'm just, there's not enough girls in engineering or any of that stuff. So that was the purpose of the first book.
Why do you think that is?
I actually am somewhat guilty of it myself. I've noticed with my son and my daughter, I do talk to them very differently. I'm like, oh, Ben would be really interested in this architecture, and I read an article, I can't remember where I read it, but teachers subconsciously will call on boys first, call on girls last, and you just kind of lose interest in it. It's not intentional, it's just the culture that we're in. And so I catch myself with my own kids trying to talk to them the same way about it. And I remember it happening to me when I was a kid.
Interesting. So what was it that put you in that direction of design, communication design?
But I was never that student where they say, look to your left, look to your right, you're going to change your major. I always knew I was going to be a designer. I used to sit and draw people at my mom's dinner parties. And so I've always had that background. I had an amazing uncle who was a creative director, and I just kind of grew up with him and learned and loved it, and he was my biggest influence getting into it. My husband also is a designer, illustrator, and his uncle, he grew up, spending the summers with him, and his uncle was a designer. So pretty big influence. Neither one of us ever changed our majors. Although for my PhD, my doctorate is actually going to be in information management, which is like data nerd stuff. And I can't wait.
Have you started it, or you're getting close to starting it?
It started. We've done a summer and a semester. So all next May will be 1 year.
Very cool. What's the next step after you finish that?
Who knows? I don't know. I want to bring design and data visualization together. I really love, because the data visualizers, we have this argument all the time. So they've got the data, but it's ugly to look at. We're the designers where we make it look good. But I want to bring both of those worlds together. And I love being the only designer in a room, because it's just our training is that we learn to see things from different perspectives. So that insight, so I'm the only designer in my cohort, and they're all like information management people. I'm freaking out, and I almost quit before the first day. Talked to Melissa, she goes, just do the thing. And I was like, all right, I'll do it. And now my cohort told my director, every cohort should have a designer in it, because she thinks so different. I'm like, what?
That's pretty awesome. How many women in your cohort versus men?
This one's good. We're about half and half. I would say, which is really unusual, really unusual. So in information management, I can't remember the numbers, but, true to the trends, there's a lack of female participation. It's changing, but slowly.
Yeah, I'm hearing all over the place because I'm, doing these types of interviews a couple times a week, anymore. And I'm hearing a lot of change, in attitudes, a lot of change in, people, where people are reaching out more to women to include them and, trying to make room for them and encouraging them to, get involved in fields and interests that they never did previously. So I think it's really fantastic. Change is coming and the future is female.
Future female, I love that. And design is the same way. I think my university is different. We're very female heavy, which is very unusual. But as you stay in industry, the creative directors, those higher end positions, mostly men. So we've got to figure out, like, where are the women? There are women that are super successful, again, changing, but it's the same thing with diversity in design. There's a lack of diversity. So those are all the types of projects that I try to take on, is we're working at diversity and inclusion. Do we care about diversity in design? What can we do to support diversity? So those are the types of research projects that I work on. Those are the things that make me really happy. So I want to bring that doctorate in there. So to bring the information together with the research and try to make a little bit of something interesting out of data. I don't know.
That's awesome. Do you think, and this is just, me posing weird questions, do you think that that demographic, the women not being in those higher design positions has to do with, parenting, motherhood, and things like that? Once, if it's something that's super competitive, if you have to leave to birth a baby, maybe there isn't a place to come back to. Does that seem to be?
Yeah, probably. I don't, we want to find out that. I don't know if it's how we talk to women in terms of expectations as they're going through our programs. Should we be communicating different messages? Is it marriage? It seems like we're talking something in the 1950s, but, is it the baby thing? I don't know. But it's still, there's still a big drop off. Again, there's so many great female designers out there, and it's definitely changing, but it's not proportional.
That's a lot of things. We're just not there yet. We're working towards it, and raising awareness to it is always going to help. I hope. I'm trying. So, can you tell me a little bit more about the books that you've written? How many?
Well, we have 18 written. So we have a couple series, but those were self-published, and then we finally got an agent, because most publishers won't publish a book unless you're represented by an agent, and getting the agent is kind of harder than getting the publisher, is what I've heard.
Oh, wow.
So we finally got the agent, and she's phenomenal. And right when we got our new rep, we signed with, I can't remember. It's been so long. Macmillan. That was our first book, and that book was about, again, trying to keep these girls in STEM fields as they grow. So it's younger books than when kids are trying to get out. So this was K through 4th or 5th. So we kind of get that message to kids younger and younger. So she uses design thinking, and nobody's listening to her. She sees a problem with the invention. So there's a kid that's a brilliant genius, Professor von Frankula Wolfhammer Junk, and he doesn't listen to her. Doesn't listen to her at all. And
Wait,
she's like,
Professor what?
Professor von Frankula Wolfhammer Junk.
I love it.
Professor Armstrong. And so nobody's listening to her. They're all excited about this brilliant person. And of course, there's a problem. She solves it. She's now the winner. She saves the day. So that was our first book. And then we just signed a two-book deal with Penguin Random House. So we're pretty excited about that one. So it's a different character, still female lead. So I'm very excited about that. My husband is totally okay with just trying to kind of shake up the system, because I remember going to like one of those book fairs at the schools, and you can tell which books are directed for boys and which ones are for girls. And the girl ones, and there's nothing wrong with being girly. I get it. Like, I totally love that as well. But at least have some options. So, again, it's changing, but everything was pink and sparkly and fuzzy, and they were babysitters instead of detectives. And again, it's changing. So we're just trying to do our little part to kind of give some options.
Yeah.
My daughter has no interest in pink and fluffy.
Mine either. Mine's all camo and Carhartt.
Yeah.
I got her a hunting knife for Christmas. She was thrilled.
Oh, that's
And then I
awesome.
just bought my little one an Elsa dress. So
There you go.
Yeah,
they will go their own direction for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they should. There's no reason not to. I've dabbled in a lot of different things, and a lot of it was just to prove that I could,
Oh, yeah.
And then I got there and I was like, nah, I don't really want to. I can, but I don't want to.
It's just that I can do it, I just don't want to do it. Like, I remember my uncle, the one that owned that agency, he, like, hardcore, sort of like, almost like admin type of vibe, good old boys and all that stuff. He's a really nice guy. He's like a father to me. He's like, you can't do that. I was like, really? I will. So I learned how to change drain the oil. I changed the oil, and then I put in some lights, and I did some car stuff, and I was really, do I want to do that? No. Can I? If I had to, yeah, but don't tell me I can't. So,
yeah, that's a big motivator for me.
Yeah, I just need my husband to do that more often. Go, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. Just watch.
When I first started the foundation, I reached out to the local chamber, and they put me in contact with this, person who was supposed to be my mentor for getting, helping to get the foundation off the ground. And I gave him my idea, and as far as I had brought it, and I just wasn't quite sure where to go from there.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of my hour-and-a-half conversation with him, he said to me, "You're never going to be able to do this. You should just walk away. You've bitten off more than you can chew." So here I am, probably about a year later, and I've issued 4 grants to 4 different women, and my membership has grown, and yeah,
thank you.
It's a real, and that's exactly it. It was thank you very much for telling me no, because I licked my wounds for a good 10-15 minutes, and then I got on Amazon and I literally bought Nonprofits for Dummies. And I started there.
That's amazing. Love it. Yep.
So where are your books available right now?
Most book retailers, well, the second set is not out yet. We're currently in production. I think that drops June 23. So it takes a long time to get the books out there. But the first book, it's The Awesome, Impossible, Unstoppable Gadget is the name of that book. And that's everywhere. I believe Amazon, Barnes & Noble, some independent bookstores, and I forget where else. But that one's been out for a couple of years. But the second book, and it was just translated into Danish.
Oh, that's
Kind
interesting.
of cool.
Yeah. Why Danish?
I don't know. They like the message, I guess. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like they're doing a little bit more for women in STEM in other countries than we are here, for sure.
Shocking.
Yeah, right? Who'd have thought?
Wow.
A perpetual boys club over here? No.
No. Oh.
Not in New York, especially.
No.
We're so
Could be
progressive.
worse.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
Different state.
We have, yes, right? We have a ways to go. You know, few states took a few steps backwards recently, so you know.
Yeah. It happens to be where I'm from.
Really. Yeah. So we've got some work to do. So what are some of the things that inspire you to, take these extra steps, and I'm sure Melissa is part of it, telling you to do the thing. What else?
I love just doing. My husband calls me Lucy because he says I'm like Lucille Ball because I want to do everything. And an example was we had this property out in Maine, and for years we had nothing on it because it's too expensive to build, right? So I don't know how I got in contact with this cool cabin kit, and one day I got a call from him. He said, hey, there's a production company looking for somebody with really unique properties, the easternmost privately owned property in the United States. And it's kind of really pretty, and it's right next to the Candy Strike Lighthouse. And she calls me and she goes, oh, are you looking to build? And I go, yeah, I want to build, but I want to build it off the grid. I've got the plans. I'm not an architect at all, but I understand space planning, and I can do all of that, elevations and stuff like that. And she goes, so we're really interested. So let me make sure I got this right. Your husband is very interested in building off the grid, and you don't want to, right? And I was like, no, I want to build off the grid, and my husband wants nothing to do with it. She goes, oh, so he just wants to build the house himself, and you're just there. And I was like, no, I know we can build the house ourselves, and he will do it with me because he's a good guy. But he didn't want to have anything to do with that. So I was really kind of surprised at the attitude, and I don't want to say anything disparaging because we really enjoyed the whole process. Anyway, we ended up getting the house built with some help from our friends, and it was filmed for a TV show.
Oh, wow.
So it's really cool, but you can tell who the target of the show is for a couple of different reasons. Like, my husband and I are similar in height, so when we do the interviews, they would make him stand on things so he would be taller. And
fragile masculine egos. It doesn't sound like your husband, but really.
No, and our friends called us the night it aired. They're like, "What's Kevin standing on? He looks like he's 6 foot tall."
God, that's.
But it was lots of instances like this where I'm just like, I'm going to write a paper about that one day because it went on and on and on.
That's
on and on. Like if I made a mistake, they would focus on it. They would focus on because I'm just the. Yeah. But if he made a mistake, it was just, part of it. Get in there, fix it. So it was just really interesting. Kind of the perceptions. But I actually am okay with people having the wrong impression about me because I love to be the underdog. I just do. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. And then you prove them wrong. And then what? And then you watch them squirm. Right?
Yep.
I love it. Yeah, it's kind of how I roll.
Yeah. So, I like to get into home building. I wanted to be an author, and I just like to try different things.
Yeah.
I just do. My mom was a bunch of things, but the one thing she was really great about was she said if somebody can do it, I can do it. And she'd figure out how to do it. And I love that. So I grew up with that mindset. If somebody can do it, I can do it. 'Cause yeah.
What's interesting is the experience that I've had, because I've done a lot of different things. I was a real estate agent, a tattoo artist, an airbrush artist, hairstylist, Mary Kay consultant, lots of different things. And I was called unstable. I was told that I was skill collecting because I had ADHD. Yeah. And then I love how they say a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Mm.
But then they forget that the saying goes on to is better than a master of none.
Oh.
That's how that's how that finishes.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I've not heard the second part.
Yeah, that's actually how that finishes. And, a lot of times it's used as derogatory, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But it's actually, it was a compliment. It's very interesting because I've never heard a man, tell of all the things that they've done. And, oh, wow, you're, look at how all of that you've accomplished. And it was like,
accomplished.
Yeah.
It's such a renaissance.
But I have ADHD. And I'm unstable.
You know what? I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Because all of the things that I do, usually I'm the one taking that lead. Thank God my husband is so willing to just go along with the insanity. But like I have contractors just go like, I have contractors, they're my designs, my elevations, my floor plans, my concept. And they will literally, I don't want a man bash because I love men, but they will literally look at him and I'm like, these were my plans.
I have so my husband owns a coffee shop and I have a coffee company without the brick and mortar. And the number of people that go to my husband's company, which is separate of mine, to ask about my company. And he's like, I don't know. I don't work for her. It's crazy. And it happens more often than not. I mean, but we talk about it, and we raise the next generation to not do that.
Yeah,
as best we
I've
can.
had, even though I'm the teacher of design, people will show my husband design things and say, "Could you give this a crit?" I'm like, I actually teach this. This is what I teach, but.
I didn't want to look at it anyway. I have better things to do.
It's really ugly and I didn't know how to say that. So. Okay.
That's great. So what are some of the other obstacles that you've had to overcome to get into the position that you're in?
Probably, I don't know, because I don't know if it goes back to that thing we were talking about earlier when you think I can't do it, I'm going to do it just because you said whatever.
Yeah.
When I switched my last position, I'm getting older and I'm like, I'm getting a little old to do this. We're going to look for somebody young. I was like, wait a minute. You and I both know, blah, 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 blah. So, maybe a little bit of that. I was talking to my husband about it the other day. You're just so used to kind of hearing these things that it doesn't even register anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's sad though.
It is sad.
Yeah.
It is sad.
It's just normal.
I was trying to think. I would say probably my biggest hurdle of late was the reason I left that job is other men being very competitive in, there's a lot of men in academia, same sort of proportions again, we're getting better in design. There's a lot of male professors, again, getting better. And this one guy that, so my focus is in advertising, right? So that's my specialty in design. And we were in a meeting, and I was the only female in the staff. And we're in a meeting. He's typing notes up that are projected while we're having this meeting. And he goes, "Oh, I have the perfect name for the class you teach." And I go, "Oh, what?" It's a new advertising class. He goes, "How do you spell prostitute?" And I was like,
"What?"
And then by my name, he wrote the word prostitute. And he left it up there. I know. And I was just sitting there, and I looked at my colleagues, and they both go, nobody said anything. And it went on and on and on and on and on. And then when I finally complained, because I was like, "Is it me? Am I crazy?" So another woman complained about this guy. He came to my office. He demanded to know these things. And I was like, "No, he does this all the time." She's like, "That's insane." So we ended up, going to, what do they call it? It's not where you go to court, but there's a word for it, where you discuss and sort of try to figure things out. Before. Thank you. And when we went through all that, the dean actually said to me, "You just need to stop being so sensitive." And I go, "I'm sorry. I'm being sensitive because I don't like being called a prostitute at work, blown up and
broadcasted to all my."
Yeah, I go. He goes, "You need to learn how to communicate better." So those are the kinds of obstacles. Yeah, a lot of mansplaining, a lot of that.
Oh my God. I think I would have lost it. I would have absolutely lost it. I broke up with a guy because he made my name Dingleberry on the bowling thing at our after prom. I knew enough to walk away from that when I was 16, 17.
Good for you. Yeah. That's probably actually another obstacle, is being raised. And my mother, again, she's a lot of things, but she did apologize for raising me to be so polite that it takes me a long time to really get up there and stand up for myself. But now that I've done it, it feels really good. It feels great.
We just did a training, we did a training a couple of months ago, and it was for, sexual harassment, how to deal with third-party sexual harassment, because the girls at my husband's coffee shop have been encountering it at a rate and to a degree that is just completely out of control since COVID hit.
Customers?
Yeah, from customers, like just absolutely ridiculous. And some of the things that we talked about, go across the board. You don't have to be in the service industry, but dropping that, thank you, but I'm not interested. Just, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, but I don't want to do that. Just, I don't want to do that. But we have been raised to be nice and smile more. And just no. I'm not going to excuse myself from not being attracted to you. Just, I'm not attracted to you. I'm not interested. And that's something that we really, really, really need to talk to our girls about, is that you don't have to apologize for not wanting something from someone.
Right. I don't want this attention, and I'm not. Yeah, no, and she did. She apologized. She goes, "I'm sorry it took me so long to see you, or to teach you to stand up for yourself." Because I often was like, "Oh, it's okay, thank you, Mom." Yeah. Right. Well, and part of it was, I didn't tell you this, is I had a brain tumor. It was benign, and they ended up taking it out. And after going through something that was scary, in the beginning when we didn't know, it makes you rethink some things. And I remember afterwards, because before I'd be like, "Oh no, sure, I'll take care of it." Kevin goes, "I think they removed your ability to put up with bullshit." Can I say bullshit?
Yeah. I checked the box. This isn't for kids.
Because I think they took that away, because you're so blunt And this woman that I didn't really know, I hadn't talked to her forever, she's like, I see you're going to a woman's march. I'd really like you, it would be great if you could take my son. And I was like, I don't know your son, and I don't like him, so no. And Kevin was like, it was amazing. But it felt good because before I'd like dance around it and
and agonize over it for hours and hours and hours because you've signed yourself up to do something you just don't want to do. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Just say no.
But that was a moment where I was like, so I've been doing that a lot more since then. I'm like, that's not how that happened, and we both know it. So I've used that in meetings. Teaching, I'm definitely more direct. I'm like, do you hate design? Do you hate it? And he goes, no, why? And I go, it looks like you hate it. It does. And they go, oh, you're right. I try to do it funny instead of going.
I think people are responsive to it. I think people actually really want to know the truth.
Right.
I think that, a lot of those pleasantries, and I mean, nobody wants to, to be told something they don't want to hear in a negative way. But I mean, if you're just like, this is the way it is, it's just kind of matter of fact. I think people are responsive to it.
Yeah. I mean, my students know, I hope they know, because I try to tell them. I try to be super direct, but I try to make it fun, and they will leave without having any doubt. I'll go, I just hate this so much. And they go, why? And then we'll talk about it instead of, well, I think this really works. So what I try to do is just make sure that I'm very clear so when they leave, we're both on the same page, right? And if they disagree, that's okay, and we'll talk about it. But even that has informed my teaching. I think I'm a better teacher for removing that. I'm so sorry to tell you, but I don't think this is working very well.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to get the message across. You're going to be able to teach better if you're teaching and not, just circling back to your mother. I just got to say, that it's really fantastic that she was able to recognize something and, correct it and apologize and, acknowledge it because, especially the generations that came before us, they raised us the way that they were thought they were supposed to. They spoke to us the way that they thought that they were supposed to in that time of the world. But they were also raised to kind of not really talk about things. So to circle back to that, shows a lot of really good character. So that's amazing. You're lucky for that.
Thank you.
We won't go any farther on that if we don't have to. Yeah.
Well, we'll just look at those positive moments. Yes.
Absolutely. That's all you can do, right?
No, it was unexpected. Let's just say that. And I really, it resonated with me, those two things. If somebody else can do it, you can do it. Yep. And sorry it took me so long. And I was like, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, feels good.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to meet with me tonight. I really appreciate it. I think that what you're doing is fantastic. I'm going to definitely check out the books that you have out and keep an eye out for the new ones because I have a little girl who's, she's not quite kindergarten yet, but we have a bookshelf full of books. I love reading to her, and
We'll send you a book.
Oh, really? That would be wonderful.
Yeah. And the parents go, oh my God, just so you know, I have to read this book every night now. Thank you.
Well, I try to keep things in rotation. We do. We read to her every night, and quite often during the day because we don't let her have screen time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember that.
I said what I said. And, so I think that would be a great book to put in her hands because I think it's super important to let kids know all of what is out there for them, regardless of their gender or their interests or, where they are in the world. One of the biggest things that I've tried to convey to my kids is like, you can literally do anything. One of the things that surprised me the most when I started to really view the world and see how much was out there was that there was all of this stuff out there and I could have done any of it and nobody told me. Nobody told me. Not a parent, not a guidance counselor. It's like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? Do you want to be a teacher? Do you, there were like 4 options that were put in front of us, and it was like
teaching,
nursing,
being a mommy, and what was the other one? But that was true when my mom was little. I remember that. And now, look who the heroes are. Those nurses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as well as STEM, I think there's a big push to get not only women, but everybody back into trades, because there are so many trades that are disappearing. You can't find a mason. Find me a mason. Find me a mason that actually knows what they're doing, that's going to show up and like do a job from start to finish. Because they're non-existent. So I think there's a big push to get people back in trades, and maybe not necessarily funneled into that 4 years of college, because it's not for everyone.
There's room for everybody, and we sort of have this dream that this is the one path that you need to take in the United States, and that's not necessarily true.
No, it's so narrow, because it's all about exposure. You need to be exposed to things to know whether it's something that you enjoy, whether you're good at, whether you're capable of it. So I think it's great, and I think you're absolutely right by getting this information into the hands of younger children and starting them from the time that they can, comprehend things. That these are things that you can do. I will never, ever, ever push my child, my daughter, my son, anybody towards math, because I can't do it. I will read books and make things pretty with you all day long, but please don't ask me for directions. Don't put a map in front of me. Don't look at a
Don't ask me to spell. Don't ask me to spell. Come on.
So, if I have those other tools in front of me, I can still put this in front of my child, not wait for the school to do it, and I don't actually have to understand it.
That's one of the hardest things, I think. And my son is very similar to me in, they teach sort of one direction, and I was terrible on tests, but I can problem solve like nobody's business. But they don't test for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the way I see it in him, and I want one person to recognize, wow, I love the way you think. Because my husband and I see it all the time. We're like, wow, did he just do this? But they don't test for that. So I want a teacher, because it didn't happen for me. Like growing up, I thought I was dumb, I'm dyslexic, I never spoke out loud because I couldn't read the words in the right order. And now I'm being valued as a doctorate in a program that I should not be in, because this is not my world, but I'll figure it out. But not one person was like, I love the way you think. I was the dumb one.
Yeah, I was talking with the girl that works with me here, and she's young. She's 21, 22. And it was like the difference between, kids in school now, where they're looking at, the kids on a spectrum. And I think that's fantastic, because when I was in school, it was, you were either learning disabled and in the special classes, or you were all just in it together, and you had the smart kids and you had the dumb kids, and there was no in between. And there was nobody that went to one kid over another and said, maybe we can do this differently. How can we help you do this? It was just, no, this is the way you do it. And if you're not doing it.
This is the path. So all that dyslexic learning techniques, I had to figure out on my own.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to my son's teachers, I go, he doesn't see it the same way. So I'm letting you know, please recognize he can do this. Because when we're at home, I show him these, and he's like,
yeah, it's just got to be presented differently. See, I was the student that I did really, really well on the tests, but I would not do like don't ask me to do homework. When I get home, this is my time. I'm not even going to look at it. And I had horrible, awful grades, and my mother could never understand it because I'd bring home all my test papers, and they were high 90s. And then my report card would come home, and if I was passing, it was amazing. And it was always homework or talking in class.
Yes, I got that. I failed 2 things: talking in class and bouncing a ball. I failed bouncing a ball.
How do you feel?
Didn't gravity do that?
Was it flat?
I don't know.
Can you bounce a ball now, though?
Yes.
Okay, then there you go. They didn't know what they were doing.
I learned. I took some special classes.
That's fantastic. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, this is going to go out on the blog on February, I forgot already, 18th. And we're going to attach all your social media handles and links to your book. I encourage anyone that has small children to purchase this book. It sounds like there needs to be one in every single home. I said what I said.
Thank you so much.